Let's get one thing straight. You don't heal by holding on. You heal by letting go. Not gently, not gradually, but fully, finally, and fiercely. Letting go isn't just walking away. It's slamming the door behind you and locking it. Not because you're bitter, but because you're finally choosing yourself. You were never meant to carry someone else's chaos. You were never meant to be someone's emotional landfill, a place where their pain, blame, and broken promises get dumped. You are not here to fix people who are committed to breaking you. They hurt you and you stayed. They lied and you forgave. They disappeared when you needed them the most, and still you made excuses for them. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. The longer you stay in love with someone who wounds you, the more you bleed in silence. And the world will not hear your screams when your voice is buried under your own denial. Letting go isn't weakness. Letting go is sacred warfare. It is a radical act of self-respect. It's you choosing you in a world that taught you that loving others, no matter how much it costs you, is noble. That's a lie. There's nothing noble about self-abandonment. You don't owe closure to someone who left you with emotional scars and never looked back. You don't owe loyalty to someone who watched you cry and still chose to hurt you. You don't need one more conversation, one more apology, one more breadcrumb of affection to make your pain make sense. They knew exactly what they were doing. You just didn't want to believe it. The love you keep giving someone who keeps hurting you, that's the love you've been starving to give to yourself. And that realization should shake you. Because every time you show up for someone who disappears on you, you abandon yourself. Every time you forgive a betrayal that shattered your trust, you whisper to your soul, "My pain doesn't matter." Every time you hold on to a connection that drains you, you silence the part of you that is begging, pleading to be saved. You're not being loyal. You're not being patient. You're drowning. You're not in love. You're addicted to hope. Hope that maybe this time they'll change. That maybe this time they'll finally choose you. That maybe this time they'll see your worth. But they won't, because people don't change when their harmful behavior is constantly rewarded. They don't grow when you choose them over your own peace. They don't transform when you call emotional starvation love. You've been loving someone so deeply, so fiercely, so completely that you forgot love is meant to be returned. And yet you stayed. You stayed when your soul was exhausted. You stayed when the silence between you screamed louder than any apology. You stayed through the gaslighting, the manipulation, the confusion, all in the name of love. But that wasn't love. That was survival. That was the wounded part of you trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be chosen. That was your inner child believing, if I can love them enough, maybe they won't leave. Maybe this time I'll finally be enough. But here's the truth, you were always enough. You just gave your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You poured yourself into someone who saw your love as a convenience, not a commitment. And every time they hurt you and you stayed, you were proving to yourself that lie, that love has to be earned, that suffering is a prerequisite for worthiness. You believed that peace is selfish, that walking away makes you heartless. But none of that is true. What's true is this. You gave your soul to someone who gave you excuses. You gave second chances to someone who used your forgiveness as a reset button for abuse. You gave your time, your energy, your loyalty to someone who wouldn't even show up on time. And still, you stayed. You stayed because you thought if you just loved better, loved harder, loved more, they'd finally treat you right. But love doesn't work that way. Love doesn't require you to shrink. Love doesn't ask you to disappear to make someone else feel whole. Love doesn't live in confusion, anxiety, or pain. Real love feels like peace. The reason you've been breaking down isn't because you're weak. It's because you've been trying to build a home in someone who only gave you walls. You've been watering a desert. You've been pouring life into someone who only knows how to take. And you think if you let go, you'll lose something beautiful. But what you're really losing is the illusion, the fantasy, the false hope that they'll become someone they've shown you time and again they're not willing to be. That hope is the most dangerous thing of all. It's the hope that keeps you stuck, that steals your time, that drains your light, that writes a story of heartbreak over your life even as your soul screams for healing. And yes, the love you gave them, that fierce, loyal, ride-or-die love that was never wasted. It was just misplaced. It was always meant for you. So now it's time to take it back. Take back every compliment you gave them when you needed one yourself. Take back every sacrifice you made while they gave nothing. Take back every tear, every prayer, every sleepless night. Because that love, that incredible love, it's your greatest weapon, but only when it's directed inward. When you start loving yourself with that same passion, that same dedication, that same unwavering loyalty, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing people who run. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop proving your worth to those who treat you like an option. You start choosing you. And when that shift happens, everything changes. Because the real you, the one who's been buried under heartbreak and people-pleasing and pretending you're okay, that you isn't broken, that you isn't too much, that you isn't hard to love, that you is starving for your own affection, for your own presence, for your own validation. And the moment you stop pouring into people who empty you, the moment you look in the mirror and say, I'm done loving people who make me feel unlovable, is the moment you rise. Not slowly, not quietly, but fiercely, unapologetically, powerfully, because letting go, true letting go, isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about rewriting your identity. It's about saying, I'm no longer the version of me shaped by pain. I'm no longer the wounded soul who begged for love from people who couldn't give it. You are not the one they left behind. You are not the confused, shattered person wondering what you did wrong. You are not the person who begged, who pleaded, who gave and gave until there was nothing left. That was a moment in your story, not the whole story. Letting go is not about erasing the memory. It's about releasing the identity you built around that pain. You were holding on not just to the relationship, but to the version of yourself that tolerated disrespect, that normalized anxiety, that confused chaos for passion. But healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before the pain. It means becoming someone who's no longer chained to it. Letting go isn't polite, it isn't soft, it's not passive, it's a full body, all in, no going back decision. It's waking up and saying, I'm done letting what they did define who I am. I'm done replaying the pain. I'm done living on pause. Because you weren't born to pause, you were born to evolve, you were born to rise. Letting go is the ultimate power move. It requires breaking your own heart in order to rebuild your soul. It requires saying, I choose me, even if they never did. That's not weakness, that's war, that's rebirth, that's freedom. Your story doesn't end at heartbreak. Your worth didn't shrink because someone else failed to see it. Your future is too important to let your past keep driving the car. You've spent enough time being the version of you shaped by disappointment. You've mastered the art of pretending you're fine when you're breaking inside. You've lived in survival mode so long that peace feels foreign. But it's time to stop surviving. It's time to start becoming. Letting go isn't erasing the pain, it's upgrading your standards. It's saying, I will never again give loyalty to those who make me feel hard to love. And once you let go, truly and completely, your entire life begins to shift. You speak less, you observe more, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop molding yourself to fit into someone else's version of love. You become your own home, your own closure, your own rescue. And every time you choose not to respond, not to go back, not to re-engage the pain, you are rewriting your identity in real time. You're no longer a character in someone else's story. You are the author now. This isn't about heartbreak anymore. This is about rebirth. You let go, not because the memory fades, but because it no longer controls you. You let go, not because you're over it, but because you're ready to become someone who no longer lives in its shadow. That's the difference between healing and hiding. Hiding avoids the pain. Healing faces it and says, I'm not afraid anymore. You've already survived the heartbreak. Now survive the rebirth. Let the old version of you fall away. Let the guilt die. Let the need to be understood die. Let the desperation die. Because in that space, something new is born. A version of you that doesn't need permission to shine. A version of you that knows peace is the highest form of success. A version of you addicted to purpose, not pain. This is the power of letting go. Not erasing the past, but reclaiming your identity from the ashes. You are not broken, you are rebuilding. And this time, you're doing it without the people who taught you to settle for less than you deserve. If this message spoke to you, if it lit a fire, gave you clarity, or helped you take even one step closer to healing, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful messages that move minds and change lives. And remember, you're not just letting go, you're rising. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay true, and never forget, you are enough.